9 weeks. Yep, that's right. 9 weeks we've been given your fix with the Wicks, obviously, and I'm glad to be able to bring you guys everything that's happening around the league, as well as my opinions on those things and other things as well. Today, I'd like to get to my, which rookie wide receiver out of Justin Jefferson, Henry Ruggs III, CeeDee Lamb, and Jerry Jeudy are going to have a breakout year, as well as Teddy Bridgewater. And then I want to get to the New England Patriots and what kind of just transpired yesterday afternoon. So, are you ready to get your fix? Well, so last Thursday, Pro Football Focus posted a picture on Instagram that said top rookie receivers ranked their 2020 season. And that picture included, like I said, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, and Henry Ruggs. So I'd like to take some time and, give my 2 cents and rank their seasons. So to do this, I'm going to start with my 4th best and, work my way to the best season by one of these receivers. So, with my 4th best season this year, I think it's going to be Henry Ruggs III. I put Ruggs at 4, because I feel like he plays more like a Tyreek Hill, which there's nothing wrong with that. No, by any means. Okay, so however, the Raiders, they have a lot of depth at receiver, especially with Hunter Renfrow, Tyrell Williams, and now Nelson Aguilar, who they added from the Eagles this offseason, who really isn't much of an addition. But, so in order to get those reps that he needs, which, he's no doubt going to get those, he's going to have to show that he can play ball and not just run deep all the time. Like, he has to be able to run the route tree, which is something Tyreek Hill doesn't do, which is why I'm a little cautious on Ruggs, because he might be able to only run 1-2 routes, instead of 7 or 8 different routes, where he's just going to go either deep or he's going to do a deep post route. That's pretty much what he's going to do. He could run that slant just because of his speed, but chances are it's going to be more of the deep route and the deep post route. Now, like I said, he might be able to run a lot of different routes. He could do that just because of his route running ability. He probably could. But you have to realize that the Raiders drafted him for his speed, so he can blow by the defenders and make big plays, so that he can keep them in the ball games at times. Also, just take a look at the division he's in. Okay, Ruggs has to face a Super Bowl champion team and defending defense in the Kansas City Chiefs. Then he has to face the Denver Broncos, who have a pretty solid defense over the years, though it has declined a tad, but I feel they're still capable of getting the job done. Then he has to go and face Los Angeles Chargers, who have a beast safety in Derwin James and some really good cornerbacks like Casey Hayward, Desmond King, and Chris Harris. So, with that division he's in, and he can do it, okay? But the probability that he can only run a few routes is why I don't think he will have a great year. But I feel like he's going to have, a decent one. Maybe put up 600 yards with, 8 touchdowns. Something like that. Not bad, not great by any means, but still be a part of that offense. So let's go over my 3rd best season, which I got Justin Jefferson, who was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings. Now, coming off a big year at LSU, getting about 1,450 yards and 18 touchdowns, Jefferson now has some big shoes to fill, being that Stephon Diggs was traded to the Buffalo Bills. Now, Diggs is, in back-to-back years, the Vikings put up 1,000-plus receiving yards. Okay, and I think it was like 8 or 10 touchdowns, somewhere around there. Now that they're looking for Justin Jefferson to do the same. Step up and get into the end zone more. Now, he could easily do this with having a solid veteran quarterback and Kirk Cousins throwing him the ball. I just feel like the ball is going to be spread out more this year, being that the Vikings have Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Kyle Rudolph, Irv Smith. I can go on about their offensive weapons. They have a lot of offensive weapons that they can, utilize. But the Minnesota Vikings, being that they have a lot of weapons, that might not be, great, but they're all pretty solid players. They all can get the job done. They're not, by any means, none of them are really top 10 in the league at all. Kyle Rudolph, you could argue, is one of a top 10 tight end, but even then it'd be, kind of rough. Dalvin Cook's obviously a top 5 running back in the league. But don't get me wrong, okay? Justin Jefferson, he's a really good route runner. And when it comes to causing separation, he's next level. He's just like Stephon Diggs. Okay, and while he was at LSU, he wasn't afraid to just go up and get the ball or even dive to get it, just like Stephon Diggs was. he's just not afraid to get the ball. He's just not afraid to say, you know what, that looks catchable. Might as well try for it, because those are the kind of players that every team should want. That's what you need on your team. Now the Vikings, they did a phenomenal job drafting this guy who plays and has a similar size to Stephon Diggs. So I mean, it helps a lot because you got rid of one guy, but you brought back essentially the same kind of person. But the Minnesota Vikings are obviously looking for Justin Jefferson to excel more than Diggs did and be a bigger part of that offense. So yeah, I mean, I think Justin Jefferson is probably going to finish with roughly 800 plus receiving yards and maybe 9 touchdowns. I feel like that's a pretty good year. So for my second best rookie season, I got Jerry Jeudy, who was drafted by the Denver Broncos with the 15th overall pick in the first round. Now this man was an unbelievable wide receiver at Alabama. In back-to-back seasons, Jerry put up 1,315 yards and then 1,163 yards. And then those seasons, he had 14 the first year and 10 touchdowns the second year. Now these are really good stats considering the division he played in the SEC, against the LSU and those big kind of names. And to put up those kinds of stats though in that division consistently is something that should obviously translate to the NFL. I mean, take Julio Jones for example, who also played at Alabama. I mean, his stats in 3 seasons there go 924 yards with 4 touchdowns. Then the second year, he had 596 yards, 4 touchdowns, and finally 1,133 yards and 7 touchdowns. So, I mean, he put up pretty solid numbers, but yet Jerry Jeudy put up better stats in 2 years. At least in my opinion, he did. So if Julio can succeed as well as he has in the NFL, then I believe full-heartedly that Jerry Jeudy can do the same and be just fine. My prediction for Jerry Jeudy this year, 900 plus receiving yards and 12 touchdowns. I think that's reasonable. I think that's really good. Denver really doesn't have a starting receiver, so Jerry Jeudy is going to be that guy. And with Drew Lock at quarterback, I feel like he's going to get a chance to really air it out and show what he's capable of. So let's get to my guy who I think is going to have the best rookie season out of those 4. And there's one guy left, and that's CeeDee Lamb, who was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys with the 17th pick in the first round. In 2 seasons with the Oklahoma Sooners, Lamb put up 1,158 yards, 1,327 yards with 11 and 14 touchdowns. These are pretty similar stats to Jerry Jeudy. But instead of going down in production, CeeDee Lamb went up in production. At the Combine, Lamb put on a show displaying his catching ability. They added a new drill this year at the Combine that is it's an end zone fade route, which, he showed that his ability to track the ball and catch it is just next level. It's like Jerry Jeudy, but Jerry Jeudy wasn't as calm and collected as CeeDee Lamb was in the Combine. If you go back and watch, you could just tell that that's what he thrives in. You're going to be able to throw the ball over top, and he's going to be able to go up and get it or let it fall onto his shoulder. So, I mean, he's also showed his route running ability and his quick cuts. One thing people are a little worried about, though, is that receivers rarely, or cornerbacks rarely played up on him. Okay, they usually played 5 to 7 yards off, which they're worried that in the NFL, cornerbacks are going to play up on him, test his ability to cause separation. But I don't think this is going to be an issue with him, being that he mainly plays a slot position, or that's where he excels at anyways. And I think going to the Dallas Cowboys, that's where he's going to most likely play. Okay, they got Amari Cooper, who is their number 1 guy, and who will be obviously the spread out wide receiver. And then they also have Michael Gallup, who will be the other spread guy. This is where CeeDee Lamb comes in. He becomes that slot receiver with one of the worst cornerbacks on the team, so to say, on him, guarding him. This is going to allow him to run slant routes and use double moves to get to the outside and then cut up field. He's going to be one of those guys that they can run a whole bunch of routes with him, and corners and safeties are really, really going to have to make sure they know where he is on the field at all time. Otherwise, Dak is going to have a heyday with CeeDee Lamb. Okay, I mean, I think going to the Cowboys was probably the best thing that could have happened to him, being that the slot is something the Cowboys needed, and they also have a stacked offense. Okay, they got, Ezekiel Elliott, Dak Prescott, like I said, Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup. They have a really, really good offensive line. I think CeeDee Lamb has the capability of putting up 1,000+ receiving yards and 8 touchdowns this season. So, enough with that. Let's go talk about Teddy Bridgewater, who signed a 3-year deal worth $63 million with the Carolina Panthers this offseason. So the past 2 seasons, Teddy played for the New Orleans Saints, where he started a total of 6 games in 2 years due to an injured Drew Brees. So in 2018, which was Teddy's first year with the Saints, he started 1 game. Okay, he threw for 118 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. Now this was to be expected, being that he came off that gruesome knee injury that took him a while to feel comfortable on the football field once again. However, Teddy excelled last season, where once again Drew Brees suffered an injury and Teddy had to step up. And he started 5 games. And in those 5 games, Teddy went a perfect 5-0, threw for 1,384 yards, 9 touchdowns, 2 picks. So if you were to put that into a 16-game full season, that means Teddy was on pace to throw for 4,429 yards, 29 touchdowns, and about 6 to 7 interceptions, roughly. I mean, if you ask me, those are really good stats. I mean, those are potential MVP-type stats. Okay, Teddy showed last season that he's still able to perform in the league at a high level. I thought that the Saints were going to keep him, around for when Drew Brees decides to hang it up, but, that just didn't happen to be the case. The Panthers saw something they really liked in Teddy, like I'm assuming a lot of teams did around this league. This is a perfect contract for Teddy, and perfect scenario. He has a phenomenal running back, Christian McCaffrey, who, can run and catch passes at an unbelievable pace. Teddy also has some solid receivers like DJ Moore, who had over 1,000 yards receiving last year. Robbie Anderson, who was a great pickup this offseason from the Jets, who was consistent and a very solid receiver. And then they also have Curtis Samuel. So, I mean, Teddy has some really good pieces in that offense, which also has a pretty solid offensive line, which was, I think, ranked 13th in the NFL last year. I mean, these guys can and will put up a fight in their stacked divisions with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New Orleans Saints, and the Atlanta Falcons. Teddy's going to have a year where we actually see just how comfortable he is in that pocket, starting all 16 games. I mean, I'm a Teddy fan, okay? And I wish nothing but the best for him. I mean, going from, nearly needing your leg amputated to being the same guy or even better than what you were before when you came into this league, it's just jaw-dropping and inspiring. So, I mean, he deserves nothing but the best. And I think we're going to see him maybe throw for 3,500 yards, with 31 touchdowns, 16 picks. I feel like that's reasonable. I'm just putting a stat out there. I think he has the pieces in place. He has a new head coach there in Carolina. He's pretty much revamped his career, hopefully. So, I'm just ready to watch Teddy ball out. So, now I want to take some time and discuss a couple things on the New England Patriots. So let's get started with the fine that the NFL handed down to the Patriots for their television crew filming the field and sideline during a game between the Cincinnati Bengals and Cleveland Browns. Okay, well, this happened over the course of last season where the Patriots were filming for their upcoming documentary or whatever, so to say. And, I mean, if you guys didn't hear about this last year and you're just hearing about it now, it was kind of their film crew were up there in the booth, and they were actually filming the Cincinnati Bengals, and every time their team would switch out in their personnel, they were filming them and watching them go to the sideline and see who's coming out, who's going in, when are they doing this. So that's kind of what happened, and they were caught. It took a little while for the NFL to hand down a punishment, but they did. They did this last night. This punishment for the Patriots includes a $1.1 million in club fines. They lose a 3rd-round pick in the 2021 draft. And the Patriots television production crews will not be allowed to shoot any games during the 2020 season. And also their senior club officials will have to require training on league operations and game policies. Okay, all this definitely makes sense, and I don't think it's not enough. I think this is a perfect punishment compared to the previous slaps on the hand that Roger Goodell handed to the Patriots. After Deflategate and all the other cheating scandals that the Patriots had going on. One thing I like about this punishment though is the fact that the organization finally after how many times, finally has to have some training to learn what is and what isn't right to do. The fact that they even have to do that, though, is kind of embarrassing. Okay, you'd think Robert Kraft and the New England Patriots, having this dynasty for over 20 years, you'd think they'd have a really top-notch staff who knows the rules. I mean, you're pretty much telling me that nobody's had training in the NFL. Okay, yeah, everybody that's in the NFL, staff, player, they all know the rules, or at least know some sort of rules. They know what they can and what they can't do. They knew really well, okay, what they were doing when they were filming that game. For a Patriots guy to not even be at his own stadium, I mean, you get the game film every week. You know their game. You know their film. Why are you filming their substitutions and replacements? It doesn't make sense. Now, I've been a Patriots fan for some time, but enough is enough, okay? And if anything else comes out about them breaking more rules, I would imagine Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick will and should face more harsh punishments, or even suspended from the league, or suspended indefinitely from the league. But anyways, enough on their fines. Let's get to the recent acquisition, which happened 17 minutes after these fines and punishments were handed out, by the way, which is typical Patriots. They get dirt on their name. Well, let's add a little hype to us a little bit and make people hate and then love us. But if you don't know, Cam Newton signed with the New England Patriots. I mean, I couldn't believe this. Okay, when I saw this and saw the story break, it just my mouth dropped, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And if you remember, when I previously talked about Cam, I said I wasn't sure if Bill was going to deal with Cam's attitude and how he is. Cam is a different person. He's just like Antonio Brown. He's a me kind of guy. He's very talkative. He's very up in your face. He loves to just have fun. And that's not the Patriots. Okay, the Patriots are you come to work, you get your stuff done, and you go home and you repeat. Okay, do your job is their motto. Do your job. Is he going to do that every week in and week out? The Cam I know anyways, or have seen, likes to goof off. Okay, he likes to have his own type of fun. Last year he came out with that funky hair. Just like, what are you doing? You're a professional athlete, man. But I understand, okay? Former MVP. He's been to a Super Bowl where I'm pretty sure he got stomped by the Broncos. But he's there. I was wrong, though, okay, with the Patriots landing him. I didn't think they were going to land him. I thought, Steelers, Jacksonville, and something like that. But when they pulled the trigger, it was a one-year deal for Cam worth $7.5 million. Now, that $7.5 million is mainly incentive-based. I'm not 100% sure. I was trying to find out what his main salary is for this year. I'm guessing it's probably around the $2 to $3 million range. I'm not really sure. But those incentives, they include throwing touchdowns or a Pro Bowl appearance or getting the Super Bowl or getting to the playoffs, things of that nature. You get more money added onto your contract that you can earn throughout the year. Now, I'm a fan of this signing. Okay, I am. I like it. As I'm really not sold on the fact that Jarrett Stidham is actually the face of New England, but Cam is going to bring that match, to this offense and start that fire. They don't have really good receivers. They still got Julian Edelman, who's 35, 36. He's old, man. And then you got N'Keal Harry, who just can't run a route. I watched him jog 2 routes, which my grandma could run faster. It's ridiculous what they got over. They have no tight end, a subpar offensive line. All they have over there is defense and their phenomenal coaching. Okay, but I get that Cam gets hurt a lot. This is something to look at, though. When he's healthy, this man throws for over 3,300 yards with about 22 touchdowns and 12 picks. Colin Cowherd this morning, he put up his stats of what he thinks Cam is going to end up getting this season. And I think it was just over 3,000, or it was between 3,000 and 3,200 with 22 touchdowns, which I got that right. And I think it was 14 picks, somewhere around that. But, I mean, I think Cam has a huge chip on his shoulder this year. I mean, after losing his job in Carolina to, what was his name, Kyle Anderson or whatever it was, it just, I mean, this guy has been on social media, okay? He's been wanting to play. He's been a social media guru, posting everything and anything he can to show that, hey, I'm ready to play. Just sign me. Give me something to do. This guy's built like a linebacker. Have you seen him? I said that this guy needs to be on a team. He's a former MVP, and he's looking to ball, and he's not going to screw it up. And if he does, that's on him. I mean, this move literally put the New England Patriots back into Super Bowl contention. Before, they weren't even close. Now I want to say they're like fourth in line for going back to the Super Bowl. I mean, this is just, I like this move. The Patriots have traditionally never really had a scrambling quarterback. They've had Drew Bledsoe and Tom Brady, who both kind of been pocket passers. But now you're bringing in a scrambling quarterback, which is what this game is getting to. It's getting to that mobile kind of game. We got to run the ball. You got to be able to pass. You got to be able to do pretty much anything and everything you can at the quarterback position. This move is very exciting, but the pieces, like I said, the Patriots have on offense couldn't even get Tom Brady to a Super Bowl. So what does Cam have? What does he have to do better than that? Tom had to do everything he could in his power to bring him all the way that he did. Okay, to end their season on a pick six, I get it. It's horrible, but man, he didn't have anything. They always have something, being that's Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but now they really don't. They just got Cam and Bill. And Cam, a lot of people aren't sold on him. He's kind of decreasing in his production lately. I don't think it's possible for them to get to the Super Bowl this year with Cam. But, I mean, it very, very well could happen. They could get to the playoffs. Their division is too lopsided at the moment. But, you know, I was very shocked, like I said, that Cam took such a small contract. Okay, this is something that I love. It just shows that he's not about the money. He wants to go play ball, and that's, I mean, if that means starting fresh and getting his money back up to where it would be and should be, then so be it. I mean, he did what he had to do to show that, hey, nobody wants to sign me. Well, I'll take the bare minimum, and I'll show you what I'm worth. I'll show you I'm worth upwards of $20 million. You know, something like that. You know, people, just get ready. Okay, just get ready for a brand new New England Patriots. They just got the jersey changed, which I'm not a fan of too much. I thought they should have went with a white, maybe a white helmet instead of a silver, because there's no silver on their jerseys anymore. But, I mean, this ain't going to be the same thing we've seen for 20 years. Okay, this is Cam Newton's offense now. This is Bill Belichick and Cam Newton and the New England Patriots. I'm excited. I think a lot's going to come of this team, and who knows? Maybe we'll see the New England Patriots winning the division once again. Well, I ranked my top rookie receivers, with who I believe is going to have the better season. And then I touched base on Teddy Bridgewater a bit, who's going to have to battle in their division this upcoming season. And then I also talked about the new punishments and the new former, actually, MVP Cam Newton getting signed with the New England Patriots as well. So that's going to end our discussion today. We'll see you on Friday. Thanks for stopping by, and you just got your fix with the Wicks.